Hey guys, I want to begin this book reading, and we can do like 3 pages a night, and it's basically reading books about the night, say the dark night of the soul. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, too bright. There we go. It's by Manly P. Hall, but the original book, Dark Night of the Soul, is written by San Juan de la Cruz, and it's been like 300 years. So, the Dark Night of the Soul. Man's instinctive search for reality. More than 300 years ago, a Spanish mystic, San Juan de la Cruz, Saint John of the Cross, wrote an extraordinary book entitled The Dark Night of the Soul. Though comparatively unknown to the modern reader, this is perhaps one of the greatest documents in Christian symbolisms on a mystical level. All the boundaries between the fates of men are annihilated, not by words, but by the import of the message. The terms used are so broadly derived from the great source of man's mystical insight that we find the same thought as we learn in India, China, Egypt, or Greece. The message of this book is from a level of personal inspiration which demonstrate beyond all controversy that man's search for reality is one, regardless of his race, his people, or his time. It presents certain insight which it seems to me is invaluable to us today. Our purpose is not to attempt an analysis of the book, therefore, but rather to interpret certain parts of it in terms of our present problems and our continuing emergency. In this work, the experience of the mystic clarifies beyond question for himself at least the basic division of the human personality, as this division was known through our ancient times. The book assumes that man has three natures or parts, of which the highest and first is essentially spiritual. The second, psychic, physic, psychic, or belonging to the sphere of soul. And the third, material, bodily or corporeal, relating to the realm of body. This threefold division is to be found in all the religions and philosophies of the past, and although it has been assailed to some degree by the modern materialistic approach to knowledge, this approach is not sustained by the inner experience of man. Materialism is not man's natural way. It is a way forced upon him by exterior factors or by the confusion in his own nature and life. Man is subject to confusion upon two levels. The first, the confusion of the body. That is that that is the pressure of opinion as it moves in upon him from experience. He sees himself living in a confused world, and while he depends upon his sensory perceptions for his orientation, he can use his faculties only to observe and estimate the nature of confusion. He finds himself everywhere surrounded with problems. He observes the inconsistencies of the world in which he lives. He reads with sorrow the blood-stained pages of history. He remembers with sadness in himself how the various nobles, ideals of the race, have never been able to dominate the ordinary conduct of the majority of mankind. The second source of confusion is within man himself, for as he exists outwardly in a world of opinions, so to a measure he lives inwardly in the same way. The confusion of his outer life moves in upon him, affecting his attitudes and his thoughts. Furthermore, there is within him a powerful psychic organism, which in turn also exists in a kind of confusion natural to itself. St. John of the Cross points out that all confusion does not come from the world. Part of it comes from the immaturity of man's inner life. He turns within himself and does not find the conquered which he desires and needs. He observes that the soul itself is darkened, that it exists in a condition of opinion and of sense, that it is moved about by thoughts and emotions, and that there is very little stability ordinarily available to man from the inner part of his own life. Even though there be a certain principle of stability, he is unable to command it in his daily needs. Therefore, he is a confused being, finding little, if any, orientation, unable to depend upon the things around him or the power within him. This double confusion, this great sorrow, causes man to move from within himself, also with excessive attitude, selfishness, opinionism, and various convictions that may or may not be founded in fact. The inner life of man is not factual merely because it is within him, any more than the world around him is non-factual merely because it is a world around him. The human being cannot, therefore, take the simple position that all from within is good and all on the outside is bad. He cannot depend totally on the guidance of his own instincts, any more than he can depend upon the advice of his neighbors. These instincts may, in some cases, lead him in good ways, but in other cases, they are obviously insufficient in time of emergency. So we're going to stop there. Page 3, The Dark Night of the Soul. So we talked about our confusion. What confuses us? So he talks about how we have all these factors that goes from outside to inside, and then we have these inside factors that we compare to our outside, and it is a confusion, right? So we're gonna go deeper in that book tomorrow night. Good night, guys. Grow, connect, serve, love you. Bye.